Welcome back, everybody, to Umineko When They Cry, Episode 4. My name is Michael S.K., and this is Eva Beatrice. I thought we had enough of her in the previous episode, but oh boy am I wrong. Or was I wrong? Anyways, we are at an interesting point here with Ange. She could very well just kind of get shoved off of this this cliff or whatever high up location that we're at here on Rokkenjima, here in lovely 1998. But we're sort of considering Eva a little bit here and sort of humanizing her a little bit more. She's always been very bitchy, especially towards Ange. But now she's considering that, you know, maybe if there was a little bit more sympathy, more understanding, willing to kind of side with her, because she was in a very, very rough situation, and she was kind of just shoving all of that onto those around her. It could have changed a whole lot for both of their lives. And here we are with the witch that caused it all, supposedly.
Nani? 私のことが見えるの？見えるわ。私が憎むべきはエヴァおばさんじゃなかった。あんたよ。すごいじゃない。人間の分際で魔女の私が見えるなんてね。それで、その目つきは何だと言いたいわけ？私が憎い？憎い？ええ、憎いわ。でも、少し違う。ただ、悲しく思える。
Damn.
悲しい？何言ってんの？いいじゃない。怒れば。思いっきり憎んじゃえば？憎まないわ。あんたを憎むことは、エヴァおばさんの憎しみを、そのまま受け継ぐだけ。私は、憎しみを断ち切る。エヴァおばさんの苦しみを受け止め、それを、払って、捨てるの。
Yeah, I really did not miss this character whatsoever.
何悟ったようなこと言ってるわけ？こいつ、頭大丈夫？っていうか、へそでも噛んで死んじゃえば？あんたら、もっともっと蹴ってやりなさい。顔とかはダメよ。気の毒な顔がマシになっちゃったらつまんないから。
Oh yeah, she is getting beat up right now. The black suits persistently kicked my stomach and back, as though they had been ordered to by the Black Witch.
やれやれ、答えないね。私をじーっと見ちゃって、私が憎い、憎いでしょ？私もよ。
Kasumi sneered at me, but for some reason I had the feeling that she was crying behind that expression. Just like me, the pain of being forced into an unreasonable life would never ever heal. The sad lion gasping in pain from the thorn he can't get out continues to howl.
ほら、スマデラかすみ、見てごらんなさい。かつてのあんたがそこにいるわ。気分が晴れるでしょう。かつてそこにいたあなたが、今度はこっち側にいるのよ。愉快でしょう。
I also did not miss her expressions whatsoever.
立場が逆になるのは。
本当に愉快だわ。なんでそんな顔ができるのよ。エンジェ、泣きなさいよ。泣きたいんでしょ？
そうそう、泣きたいに決まってる。泣かせちゃいなさいって。あの時のあんたは泣かされちゃったじゃない。だからこいつも泣かせてやりなさいよ。エンジェもいいのよ。泣いちゃえば。
I am so sick and tired of all the
泣き
laughing.
なさいよ、エンジェ。あんたの泣き顔が見たいのよ。泣いて、ごめんなさい、かすみおばさんって言って。
そう、その 言葉を言わせるのよ。あの言葉、辛いでしょ？自分のせいじゃないことを謝らせられるのって本当に辛かったでしょ？同じ思いをさせてやるのよ。そうすることであなたの痛みは和らげることができるの。そうよ、それでいいのよ。もっと自分に素直になりなさい。もっともっといっぱいに自分の感情を吐き出しちゃえば。
The Black Witch provoked Kasumi, and Kasumi began to give herself over to that dark emotion. By turning deep sadness into an evil alcohol and forcing it down, trying to forget it for just an instant, nothing would change. The words Kasumi insulted me with were themselves sad, and I couldn't forgive the Black Witch who had imposed that sadness on Kasumi. I had gone limp, which seemed to have stopped the black suit's kicking competition. Or maybe the kickers were getting tired too. Kasumi didn't order them to stop, but at some point they did. However, I was reflected in Kasumi's eyes, and they burned me with flames of hatred. She had been tempted by the witch to do that in order to relieve her own pain.
スマデラかすみ、まだよ。まだまだ踏みにじりなさい。あなたの人生はこんなほんのちょっとの乱暴で許せるの？
許せないわよ。まだこれくらいでは許せないんだから。
でしょ？許せるわけがない。もっとよ。もっと憎悪の炎を。憎しみの炎でしかあなたは暖を取れないの。怒りと悲しみの雪原で凍えるあなたを温められる炎は憎しみだけなのよ。ほら言って。叫んで。憎しみの方向で自分を燃やし尽くしちゃえば。
後ろ宮エンジン！あんたを憎まなくちゃ私は生きてられないの。
Oh, what a sad woman. Though, I am seeing a bit of a,
スマデラかすみ、あの花束を。
Oh, hold on now. I am seeing a little bit of a, not a contrast, but similarities from this scene and what we saw before with Maria and her mother. With Beatrice trying to, fan the flames of hatred with Maria more because it wasn't enough. It never was. More and more. She needed to do more and more towards her mother to make up for everything.
これ、死んだ家族への花でしょ？エンジェ。
The Black Witch grinned at me unpleasantly, using her chin to signal Kasumi to pick it up. Kasumi picked up the flowers I was going to offer, brought them all the way over to me, dropped them, and made a show of trampling them. Her expression was filled with hatred, and a frantic quality that couldn't be explained with hatred alone. She trampled them over and over again, as though her sadness was reaching the bursting point. So the sound of her trampling it was just sad. Excuse me.
あら、この程度じゃ答えない？ならこっちは答えるかしら。スマデラかすみ、こっちを使いなさい。ダメ、それは。
What is it? Uh-oh. The object the Black Witch pointed at was Maria One-chan's grimoire. Kasumi also noticed it and picked up that book, which was heavier than it looked.
なにこれ？
読んじゃえば。お腹がよじれちゃうかもね。
Kasumi opened the grimoire, skimmed over the contents, and snorted derisively.
返して。それはお姉ちゃんの。
Of course, my hand couldn't reach. My stomach was once again kicked by the black suits and I doubled over.
ほらね、この本は演者にとっての大切なものでしょ？大切なものをけなしてやりなさい。こういう子には殴る蹴るよりもそっちの方が効くんだから。あなたがそれを一番よく知っているでしょ？
As though remembering something painful, Kasumi's face twisted for an instant. but that quickly disappeared, changing into a scornful smile directed at me.
なーにこの気持ち悪い本。あんたが書いたの？
やめて。返して。見てよあの顔。もっとけなしてやりなさい。貶めてやりなさい。尊厳を踏みにじられる苦痛を教えてやるのよ。そうすることでしかあなたの苦痛は和らがないの。何
これ恥ずかしい本。少女の時代に多少は占いの真似事に興味を持つこともあるけれど、これはちょっと行き過ぎじゃない？やだ、魔法だってあんたあれでしょ。アニメとかのなんとかなんとかって呪文を言いながら魔女に変身するやつ。
Not quite.
ああいうの好きなんでしょ。痛々しいわ。
Cackling, Kasumi opened to a random page and showed it to the black suits. The black suits looked too and guffawed. That sneer didn't wound me, but I couldn't forgive it. After all, that sneer was ridiculing Maria One-chan. I don't hate Kasumi, but for forcing that unhealing anger and sadness on Kasumi, I cannot forgive the Black Witch. That Black Witch ate into Aunt Eva, Sumidera Kasumi, and Aunt Rosa, tormenting them for an eternity without letting their wounds be healed. I can't forgive her. I can't forgive the Black Witch.
何これ？傑作！お空から飴玉を降らせる魔法ですって？何々？お日様で清めたお水にお砂糖を溶いて魔法の杖を浸して呪文を何これ？痛い。
Yes, all the laughing really does hurt. The black suits were also rolling around guffawing. Then, grinning, the Black Witch whispered something into Kasumi's ear. After glaring at me with a grin, Kasumi took that page, ripped it. Kasumi grabbed hold of that page, tore it off, crumpled it up, and threw it away.
ひどいよ。それはマリアの魔法。あら、そうなの？それはお気の毒。
It was one of the spells to summon happiness that Maria had made with Sakutaro. Anyone knows that making sugar water, coloring it, and leaving it by the window isn't going to make candy fall from the sky. But after repeating that every day, one time on her way home from school, she had found several pieces of candy scattered around. How happy must that miracle have made Maria One-chan? Didn't she treasure that candy, eating it during her night alone with Sakutaro to distract herself from her loneliness? That magic, which One-chan had created, had been torn and thrown away and had disappeared. The whole miracle of happiness that magic had given birth to had been torn and thrown away.
これも傑作だわ。晩ご飯をクリームコロッケにする魔法。次は何？ピーマンが美味しく食べられる魔法？これも生かすわ。バカバカしい。
Hey, bell peppers are totally fine.
それも破いちゃいなさいよ。どんどん破いちゃえば。
With a brutal, loud laugh, the Black Witch made Maria One-chan's spells get torn out one after another. She sneered at that happy magic, tore it apart, and threw it away.
やめろ！やめろ！マリア教の魔法を怪我すな！汚い毒素で怪我すんじゃない！
Mamoon cried and yelled, but she had no way of reaching Kasumi.
いいじゃない。怪我されちゃえば。魔法の奇跡？幸せにする魔法？ないない、そんなのないってば。 痛みと苦しみはね、他人に押し付けてしか癒せないのよ。あんたは確か魔法のお友達とかいうやつだったわよね。スマデラかすみ、こいつのページを開きなさい。
これは何？魔法のお友達ですって？煉獄の七姉妹？物騒な名前。すごい速さで飛んで敵をやっつけてくれるんですって。エンジェ、あなたこんな魔法が使えるなら今すぐ使った方がいいんじゃない？くだらない。
The page that wrote of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory was also heartlessly torn away. The page itself was just paper. It wasn't Mamun's vessel or anything. But the tearing, denying toxin burned Mamun from the inside. Mamun's face twisted from that heat and pain.
大丈夫、マモン。しっかり。これくらい平気。私よりエンジェ様の方が。
However, Mamun's expression was twisted with unbearable anguish and humiliation.
やめろ、黒き魔女。どうして君はそんなことをするんだよ。どうして魔法を幸せのために使えないんだよ。ああ、あんたも魔法のお友達ね。あんたも怪我してあげるわ。スマデラかすみ、こいつのページも探しなさい。
こっちは何？この下手くそなライオンの落書き。作太郎？変な名前。一番大好きなお友達だって。そうなの？これがあんたの友達？親友？このライオンが？ねえねえ。本当に下手くそな落書き。こんなブサイクなライオンがあんたなのね。こんなのお友達にしてるなんて、後宮マリアってこの頭のかわいそうさに呆れて、へそでお茶が湧いちゃうわ。
I mean, Maria's got some, questionable bits of imagination, I guess you could say.
神だ。へそ噛んで死んじゃえば。
Well, she's currently dead, so...
うりゅう。マリアをバカにするな。やめて。破かないで。ダメ。
There was a shrill sound. The page had been filthily ripped out. The picture of Sakutaro that One-chan had drawn was violently ripped in half. I mean, it would not have been the first time that, you know, something horrible had happened to Sakutaro. This time it's just a picture of him. A crude drawing of him, if you will. I don't really know what to make of all this. If anything, Maria's book here really contains a whole lot of the, it contains pretty much everything that we've come across here in these wacky, magical perspectives of the stories here.
お前たちも笑いなさい。
I'm so sick and tired of all the laughing. A pair of the black suits laughed vulgarly and heartlessly trampled the two halves that had been torn and thrown away. Sakutaro, at least you're not getting, you know, beaten.
サクタロ、しっかり。僕、悲しくなんかないよ。ただ、悔しい。マリアのことをバカにされて、何も言えない自分が悔しい。私たちは見えない人間にはいないも当然。
Well, you technically don't. Like, this is reality at play here yet again.
私たちは必要としてくれる人間としか。だから、家具。
As Sakutaro and Mamon supported each other, they crouched down, sobbing. I couldn't stand it either. Those who can't see how wonderful the world of magic is can't understand it. You can't explain to humans who can't understand, so it gets belittled. If you could show them it, well, but you can't. Because in front of humans who are filled with the magic-resisting toxin and who can't understand magic, magic cannot be used.
本当にわけがわかんないわ。
I don't either.
この妄想日記、頭がおかしいとしか思えない。あんたのお花畑の頭の中が垣間見えて本当に面白いわ。気持ち悪い子。
あんたもマリアも、そこのぬいぐるみと家具もね。
おかしいわ。
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of that.
あんた、友達いないんでしょ。いっつも一人ぼっちで、ぬいぐるみがお友達なんでしょ。かわいそうな子。大丈夫。私にもわかるわよ。
Do you really?
そういう生活、わかるもん。だから私が認めてあげるわ。あんた、本当にかわいそうな子よ。
To you, it probably would look like something made by a pitiful child. That's right. If 100 people were to read One-chan's diary, 100 people would probably think the same thing. I used to be like that too. But you know, despite all of that, Maria One-chan summoned a world of happiness. Don't deny that magic, that happiness.
頑固な子ね、あんたは。いいわ、これで最後よ。あんたとマリアの信じた本当にくだらない魔法の根源を引き
Yeah,
裂
what
い
would
てあ
that
げ
be?
るわよ。
What would that be?
スマデラかすみ、そのページを読みなさい。
なに？このカラフルなページは。なになに？大好きなママといつまでも仲良しでいられる魔法。
やめて！そのページだけは！
この魔法すんごく簡単じゃない？私でもすぐできそうだわ。こんなに短い呪文なら私にだって覚えられちゃう。やってみようかしら。
本当に簡単な呪文よね。いいわよ、やってあげなさい。みんなも吹き出しちゃうから。
With expressions that ridiculed it from the bottom of their hearts, the Black Witch and Kasumi tapered their mouths, and they said it out loud. The black suit stared blankly, asking what the hell that was supposed to be. Then Kasumi answered, cackling.
これがね、呪文なんだって。おかしい。
Wait, those stupid-ass noises that Maria would always make? That was supposed to be an incantation to retain happiness between her and her mother? Really?
ほら、あんたたちもやってみれば。
The black suits imitated that moaning voice, making fun of it. That was the incantation for the magic that would let her always be friends with her beloved mother. Right, of
この
course.
バカみたいなの。言うだけで家族仲が良くなるなら世界はずっと平和だわ。バカなうなり声。
こんなの連呼してたら頭のかわいそうなこと思われるのがオチよ。
Yeah.
バカじゃない。
やめろ！その魔法だけはけなさないで！
It was the day of a picnic when Maria One-chan and Aunt Rosa were alone. It was written that this was one of the top 5 happiest days of her life. One-chan was singing a song that she had learned from her mama. Her mother had been delighted, but partway through, Maria forgot the lyrics. But since she saw that her mother was so happy, she tried to sing until the very end, with ooh, ooh, ooh. Even though she'd only pretended to know the lyrics, her mother had enjoyed it a lot. After that, U remained as an incantation to remember that day that she had spent in fun and happiness with her mother. Of course, even though she seemed to find it funny at first, Aunt Rosa eventually tired of hearing it and eventually started scolding One-chan when she said it. But to One-chan, it was a memory of a fun day that she'd never forget. I didn't think we'd be learning the lore behind the noises that Maria made. So among the spells that Maria had created, it was the oldest and the first. Kasumi stuck her fingernails into that page too.
やめて、破かないで。そのページだけは許して。
ダメ。
I'm glad we're using a glass breaking sound for all the different times that she has torn a page out of that book. With a shrill sound, a girl's world of happiness was erased.
これがあんたらの幸せな魔法なわけ？笑っちゃう笑っちゃう。幸せになる魔法なんてね、あるわけないでしょ。
If only there was.
魔法はね、怒りとね、憎しみでできてるのよ。幸せってのはね、自分の背負わされた憎悪を人に全て押し付けた時にのみ与えられる解放感を言うのよ。あんたたちの言う幸せなんて絵本の中にしか出てこないまやかしなのよ。
As Kasumi laughed her head off, she slammed the grimoire against the ground and stepped on it.
悔しい？ねえ、悔しい？幸せの白き魔女さんたち。そんなに悔しかったら見せてみれば？あんたたちの魔法。あるなら使ってみせればいいじゃない。魔法が使えない魔女なんて魔女じゃない。つまり本当の魔女は私たち。あんたたちなんて魔法の夢で現実から逃避しているだけのクソガキどもなのよ。
Yeah, in a way. That's kind of how you could describe it.
じゃあ魔法を私が見せることができたなら信じてくれるの？信じるわよ。魔法を使って見せることができたならね。ならやってみろよ、このクソボケガキ。
Yeah, I would also be down to see some magic here. Silently, slowly, I stood up. Sensations of this cramped world, such as the pain in my body, felt truly trifling.
あら、まだ立てる元気はあったのね。大魔女さん。
立ち上がって何をしてみせるの？見せてみなさいよ。魔法はあるわ。
はあ？この子何を言い出すかと思えば、あんたたち今の聞いた？
静かに。へえ、面白いじゃない。半魔法の毒素を理由にあんたたちはいつも奇跡の力を拒んできた白き魔女マリアの弟子。見せてみなさいよ。一体どれだけの人間がその奇跡を信じて裏切られていったか知っている？誰もが信じ、誰もが裏切られて絶望した。そして本当の魔法は私たち黒き魔女の力でしか得られないことを知るのよ。憎しみを誰かにぶつけるのはただの罪。そんなのは魔法じゃないわ。本当の魔法を私が見せてやる。
Yeah, let's see it. The Black Witch winced slightly. However, Kasumi sneered at me even more.
なら見せてごらんなさいよ。それであんたはどの魔法を見せてくれるの？
Well, pick a card.
飴玉を降らせる魔法？それともクッキーを増やす魔法？
Shit, I'd be down for that. The instant I opened my eyes, a tremendous wind arose.
何？突然。さあさあ、おいでなさい。煉獄の七姉妹。
Oh shit, there they all are. There was a flash behind me, well, 6 of them. There was a flash behind me, and in an instant, 7 pieces of high-level furniture were gathered there. It was a power that far surpassed the magical strength that I had had in my prime. It was a power that matched even Maria One-chan and Beatrice.
煉獄の七姉妹、ここに。
エンジ様、あなたはかつて言ったわ。私に魔力とその覚悟がないからあなたたちを刺激できなかったのだと。私をいじめるクラスメートに仕返しがしたいなんて、そんな安っぽい感情じゃない。私はマリアお姉ちゃんのマリアージュ・ソルシエルの世界を守るために今こそ魔法の奇跡を見せることを命令するわ。無理です。いくらなんでもこれだけ大勢の毒素の前では。
The 7 sisters also remembered what had happened in that classroom. If they could have obeyed Ange's order, they would have. However, surrounded by the toxin that runs thick in humans, they hadn't been able to display the miracle of magic. And they remembered very well how deeply that had hurt Ange. But Ange spoke very quietly.
なら、あなたたちも信じて。マリアージュ・ソルシエルは人を幸せにするために生まれた。そしてそれは黒き魔女と戦うためでもあった。その創立者の一人、原初の魔女、その奇跡を見せ、その世界を守るために信じて、魔法を、魔女を、今こそ奇跡を。
When Kasumi gave an order to the black suits, one of them took out a gun and pointed it at Ange.
魔法を見せてくれるんでしょ。なら見せてちょうだい。魔法で火の玉でも稲妻でも打ち出してこの男を倒してみせなさいよ。チャンスは一度、3つ数えるうちにやってお見せなさい。できなければ覚悟してもらうわよ。
打ちなさいよ。
なんだこのガキ。イカれてやがるぜ。
The black suit pointing the gun laughed at Ange's detached attitude.
本気？こいつ頭の中までお花が咲いてやがる。なら撃たれなさいよ。死んじゃえば。
Oh, we're about to.
エンジェ、無理。中断は魔法では防げないよ。いいえ、何も恐れることはないわ。私の魔法は、煉獄の七姉妹は銃弾などものともしない。エンジ様。
That's some pretty good confidence right there. Mamon was perplexed by Ange's absolute trust. If she could comply, she would have. On that day as well. But because she had been unable to do anything, she had hurt Ange.
ガキめ、魔法が使えるってんなら早く見せてみやがるってんだ。どうしたよ。早く魔法を見せてみろってんだ。ほら、遠慮はいらねえぜ。俺にパピョーンと魔法ってやつをお見舞いしてくれよ。
The black suits jeered at her, but Ange simply concentrated her mind in silence.
撃っちゃえば。撃ってみろって言ってるのよ、向こうは。
この子恐怖でもう頭がどうかしてるんだわ。バイバイエンジェちゃん。天国で好きなだけ魔女ごっこをしてなさい。撃て。
いいんですか。
おうち死ね。エンジェ、やれるもんならやってみなさいよ、あんたの魔法を。
Yeah, let's see what happens here. The black suit cocked the gun and, sneering, pulled the trigger. Now that's blood. The sound of gunfire rang out, and the world stopped. A red spray scattered out, and chunks of flesh flew. Okay, well, something happened.
何をしてるの、マモン。銃弾ごとき無粋な石ころをエンジェ様に許すつもり。
Lucifer lined up the bullet perfectly, and with a single swing, she sliced it. And in the chest of the black suit who had apparently fired the gun, was a hole as big as a fist.
たまには私が一番乗りでもいいわよね。
Half of Leviathan's body was covered with blood, and a cold smile was on her face. Then slowly, the pitiful prey that she had brought down fell over.
貫いた人間を。
バカね、まだあんた信じてないの？私たちの主の魔力。
これだけの人間の前で権限したっていうの？
何よ、何？
Kasumi and the rest were flustered. He certainly seemed to have fired his gun. However, it hadn't hit Ange. And why was the person who fired hurt instead?
これが魔法。見事よ、レビアタン。
光栄の至り。我らが主に逆らう愚かなる人間どもよ。今こそ冷やせ、審判の時。
どうして人間の世界に魔法は持ち込めないはずなのに、魔法は見えないはずなのに、触れられないはずなのに、どうして？これが本当の魔法だからよ。
The fuck does that mean?
何をしてるのよお前たち。殺せ、殺せ。
One of the black suits who had finally come to his senses pulled his gun, aimed,
我らが主に銃口を覗かせる無礼を死ね。
Those words were a requiem. The man's chest had already been pierced by Lucifer, who had become the stake of pride in an instant. With the sound of the second person falling, the black suits now realized for certain that their lives were in peril. The instant one of the black suits doubled over in shock and turned on his heels to escape from that place, the stake of sloth.
我が主への狼藉に対する報い。これ死ね。
In his right eye, a hole as big as a walnut opened, and his head split. Belphegor was sprayed with blood, and her face twisted demonically with the joy of being able to use her full power. The black suits were flustered, pointing their guns in every direction. But they didn't understand what was happening. They knew that something terrifying was coming for them from somewhere, but they didn't know where.
バカ！敵はあんたたちのすぐ目の前にいるわよ。魔女の家具があんたたちを狙ってる。
But they couldn't see. Because they didn't believe in magic, they could not see. Just as the Black Witch said, Satan was standing boldly right in front of the black suit. However, the black suit couldn't see her at all. I guess it's more of a Satan than Satan. My bad. I actually forgot how I used to pronounce her name. It's been a long time.
間抜けな人間が魔法に対する畏怖を忘れたる。愚かの代償を払うがいい。何よこれ。何が起こってるの。
あなたには見えない。愛がないから。ありえない。これだけの人間がいて半魔法の毒素をばらまいてるってのに、どうして魔法が権限できるの？あんた何者なの？魔女よ。あんたと違って本物の。
Damn, we've heard that before.
うわー！畜生！この
As though announcing his candidacy for becoming the fourth victim, one of the black suits pointed his gun at Ange. And the trigger was... Ange glared at him coldly and simply ordered,
次、サタン。
踏んでるサタン、すでにここに。ならばが今のエンジェ様と私たちに銃弾ごときが当たると思うか。
the stake of anger, pierced and smashed the bullet fired by the black suit and continued straight on towards the man's face.
己が愚かさをし、地獄で後悔せよ。死ね！
With a terrible explosive sound, the upper half of the man's head was smashed. Bathed in scattered flesh and blood, Ange quietly asked one more question.
ねえ、かすみおばさん、まだ、信じる気にならないの？
こんなバカなことあるわけないでしょ。認めないわ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。そうよ。魔法なんてあるわけがない。魔女なんているわけがない。
魔法はあるよ。魔女はいるよ。うりゃー。
そうよ。魔法はあるのよ。魔女はいるのよ。そしてこの怒りと悲しみで満ちた世界に幸せの世界への扉を開く鍵にできるの。あんたなんかにそれを否定させない。幸せな世界への鍵はみんなの手に握られてるんだ。それを奪う資格は誰にもないんだ。
それを理解できぬ哀れそなたの人生に魔法の力があったなら、もっと違った穏やかなものになっていただろう。そなたがその生涯において本当の魔女と出会えなかったことを私は哀れむ。
You know, I'm not really on the side of magic or anything here, but it's nice to see somebody who's obviously the villain sort of get what's coming to them. Kasumi let out a piercing scream. At the same time, two of the black suits came for me at once, thrusting their guns at my head. Like they were trying to use me as a hostage against something their eyes couldn't see. Against the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, who had now reached the level of weapons, this was completely pointless.
畜生、どこにやがるんだ。攻撃をやめねえとこの天の命はねえぞ。姿を現しやがれ。
何言ってんのこいつ。美味しそうな腹渡をしてるくせに。園児様、次は私にお任せを。
許す。殺せ。
ありがたき幸せ。死ねえ。
The man's chest split and his guts poured out. This terrible way of dying threw the other man into a total panic. However, Asmodeus' form was already at his back, grasping his neck and smiling obscenely.
かわいい子。ねえねえ、どこを貫いてほしい？園児様、ご希望はございますか？
頭。
かしこまりました。 我が主、死ね！
Oh, there we have all those guys. The final black suit had his head smashed by the stake of lust. And as his insides scattered, he twisted and fell. In the gruesome world where 6 people lay in a sea of blood, witch and human confronted each other.
スマデラかすみ、そなたの哀れなる人生に私は心の底より同情する。その埋めえぬ心の穴を塞げる魔法を授けてもよい。そなたがその魔法を信じるならば。
Yeah, right.
バカなこと。こんなの私は認めない。
As Kasumi, who was scared out of her wits, stepped backwards, she picked up a handgun that someone had dropped. And then shaking, she pointed it at Ange.
そうよ、かすみ。その銃で撃ちなさい。あんたの憎しみを銃弾に変えて放ちなさい。殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたを殺さなきゃ私の人生は報われないのよ。そうよ、殺して引き金を引いて。あいつにあんたのみすぼらしい今日までの全ての怒りを全部叩きつけてやるの。そうでなきゃあんたは痛みと苦しみから解放されないのよ。
やめて、かすみおばさん。黒き魔女に耳を貸してはダメ。
殺してやる。殺してやる。あんたの母親のせいで私の人生はめちゃくちゃ。
You know, I really don't believe that, honestly. Like, at all. I'm sure the living circumstances as they've grown up were completely different than anything I could ever imagine, but come on. To have to throw that on her, on Ange, now that Kirie is dead, like I just don't think that's right. You'll never get your life back in that case. If you really do believe that your life was taken from you, killing someone will never make that up. Never.
なら私の魔法でその人生をこれから少しずつ明るく穏やかなものにもできるかもしれない。あなたが魔法を信じ心を入れ替えさえすれば、あなたに新しい世界への扉を開いてあげられるの。
そんなものはないわ。あいつの言う救いなんてどうせおとぎ話の中だけよ。あんたの人生はもはや死ぬまでトゲまみれ。その苦痛の叫びをあいつに聞かせてやりなさい。失ったものは何も取り返せないのよ。そうでしょ、スマデラカスミ。
そうね、何も取り返せないかもしれない。でもきっと新しく何かを生み出すことができる。だからかすみおばさん、その銃を捨ててかすみおばさんにも幸せな世界を教えてあげられるかもしれない。
私はね、あんたの母親が逃げたせいで、あんたの母親のいい名付けと身代わりに結婚させられたのよ。
I mean, I'm sure you could have run off with, somebody else if you had tried.
将来を誓い合った男がいたのよ。別れさせられたのよ。
No, I'm sure you could have done something.
あの母親の代わりと継がされて、話もろくにしたことがない男とちぎりを交わさせられた私の気持ちがわかるっての。殺してやりたかった。なのにAさんは勝手に死んだ。
Look, if Kirie could do it, so can you. Honestly, that's my opinion.
だからあんたを殺すの。
But I also don't understand or believe in these forced marriages.
そうでなきゃ私のトゲまみれの人生は終わらないのよ。
Like, hey, if I'm forced to marry somebody that I don't even like, man, I'm gonna be hardcore cheating. From Kasumi's eyes, tears of passion drip down. So pitiable. This person's tears were so clear and beautiful. But for that very reason, she hadn't been able to fully withstand her sad pain, and had been given no choice but to listen to the Black Witch's temptation.
かわいそうに。ならばせめてあなたの魂を永遠に解放し、塩素の鎖から解き放ってあげるわ。それが今の私にできる唯一の施しかもしれない。
死ねー、後ろ宮エンジェー。
さようなら、かすみおばさん。静かな世界でゆっくりと休んで。
I no longer feel anger or hatred for you. I just want to let your soul rest in peace. Kasumi's handgun spat fire. Slowly, that bullet continued through a world frozen to the utmost limit, aiming for Ange's forehead.
マモン。
強欲のマモン、ここに。
ありがとう。あなたたちと作太郎に出会えたから私は全てを理解できた。
エンジェ。
作太郎は後ろを向いていなさい。マモン、その女を解放してあげて、そしてマリアージュ・ソルシエルの名誉を守れ。
はい、覚悟せよスマデラカスミ。
Even though the world was frozen, the stake of greed flashed like lightning, and had already gotten behind Kasumi.
貴様に多少の得がある。
What about the bullet?
再び煉獄の山で相まみえようぞ。死ねー。
The upper half of Sumadera Kasumi's head was smashed. Her cage of flesh was shattered, and she was finally released. Okay, but what about the bullet? There's still the bullet that left the gun.
あとはあんたね、黒き魔女。今となってはあなたにエヴァおばさんの面影を見ていることさえ
I guess
彼
we're
女に申し
okay.
訳なく思うわ。
Even so, that gun was most definitely fired.
私の姿が未だに後ろ宮エヴァに見えているなら、それはあんたの中で未だに私が許せてないということだわ。分かっているのよ、エンジェ。あんただってトゲまみれの人生から解放されたくて仕方がないの。なら面白いことを思いついたわ。私もあんたに魔法を見せてあげる。あんたを殺すのは私じゃないわ。
What does that mean? With the worst of smiles on her face, the Black Witch changed her form into something like a black mist, or else a vast swarm of black flying insects which began to swirl around me. Then that black mist began to gather bit by bit, shaping itself into the form of a human.
何の真似？
What do we got here?
うすうすは想像がついてるくせに、あんたが最も憎み恨んだそして女もあなたを最も恨み憎んだ。
What? Who do we have here? Oh, okay. I was like, huh? When the black mist cleared, over there was Aunt Eva's form, as she had been during her life. Her hands were holding a gun.
エヴァおばさんは死んだわよ。
お久しぶりね、エンジェ。あんたを殺すために地獄から戻ってきたわよ。
Aunt Eva glared at me with a mad laugh.
でもあまり驚かないわ。エヴァおばさん、そういう人だったし。
私のお葬式はさぞや気分が晴れ晴れしたでしょ。私も晴れ晴れしていたわよ。でもたった一つだけ心残りがあったわ。それがこれよ。
私を殺すこと、それが最後の遺言だったの。
How pitiful. Even after death, my aunt wasn't released from her pain.
黒き魔女の力こそが私の魔法の源泉だったわ。怒りと憎しみが私に努力と不屈を教えてくれた。それはあんたの言う現実逃避の魔法とは全く違うの。
あんたの言う魔法なんてただの八つ当たりによるストレス解消だわ。私たちの魔法は違う。世界そのものを作り変えるの。あんたの性悪魔法とは全く格が違う。
なら黒と白のどちらが勝つかこの場で決着をつけてあげる。
Just like in chess.
死してなお黒き魔法で復活してあんたをこうして重厚で狙える私の奇跡に、あんたの白き魔法はどんな奇跡で対抗を？半魔法の毒素であなたを取り込んだわ。七姉妹はもう二度と呼べないわよ。
Oh, I guess you could just pull that out of your ass then.
さっきの奇跡はもう起こらない。
それでも起こるから魔法って言うんだわ。いいわよ。マモン、私に力を貸して。
But Mamoon did not respond. She didn't appear. Certainly, she'd said the magic-resisting toxin had burned everything up like a wasteland patched by a blazing sun. This might be a little tough.
呼びかけても無駄よ。もう二度と煉獄の七姉妹は答えない。
だからそれでも呼べるから魔法なのよね。
哀れね。さようなら。あんたとのささやかな日々はそこそこに楽しかったわ。これでお別れよかったわね。あんたの終着駅がここ
ええ、全くよ。気が利くわね。
だ。ありがとう。それじゃお別れね。
All right. The barrel of the gun rose slowly so that you could see all the way down. Then the trigger was slowly. At that moment, the gun exploded. It wasn't that it fired, it burst. You're kidding me. In shock inside a frozen space, Eva looked at the ruptured gun. When time melted, the fragments would probably smash into her face all at once.
強欲のマモン、ここに。バカ。
Behind Ava's back, Mamoon stood. She had already penetrated the target I had given her, which was the gun.
これで魔法は十分、エヴァおばさん。
Then time melted. The fragments of the burst gun and exploding gunpowder burned her face. Letting out a shrill scream, she covered her face and rolled around. It was pitiful.
運がなかったわね。これでゲームオーバーよ、エヴァおばさん。
I signaled to Mamoon, so that Eva would be freed quickly from the pain of her burnt face as she writhed around.
ありがとう、マモン。あの日の教室で、あなたたちの無力を罵ったことを、今こそ、心の底より、そして再び謝るわ。あなたたちは、魔女を守るための優秀な家具だった。
こちらこそ、感謝します。良き魔女に、良き主に最後に出会え、家具の本分を尽くせたことを、心より光栄に思います。
Mamoon had understood. This would be the final job I'd give her. Mamoon quickly walked up to me. Then she looked down at Eva.
エヴァおばさん、今日まで付き合ってくれてありがとう。これでお別れよ。Have a nice dream. See you hell.
What the fuck is with the English that's been popping up here recently? It kind of sucks ass. Then the light sound of her forehead being bored into rang out. The battle of gunpowder, smoke, and fury of white and black magic ended. I get the feeling it was a long, truly a long journey, and the world slowly sank into darkness. Yeah, I have no idea how any of that happened either, because, like, oh, hey, look, back into the city. Like, I was thinking, oh, if this is going to maybe be the end of Ange's life, you know, and let's say something happened to her and the goons that were there, then anything could have happened. We just got a story told from Ange's wacky perspective. The stars that should have been sparkling lay not in the sky but were scattered beneath me. When I realized that the pearl and ruby made a red and white stream, I noticed that it was a vast nighttime scene spread out below. I was in the sky of that nighttime scene, neither standing nor flying, but simply floating. From nowhere in particular, I could hear a clap, clap, clap. A truly dull applause. I know. It's the one who ordered me to go on a journey, Bernkenstill.
おめでとう、無限の魔女。エンジェ・ベアトリーチェ。あなたは旅路の末に魔法のすべてを理解したわ。
ええ、私は今や魔法のすべてを理解した。
I wish I did.
私は魔女よ。マリアージュ・ソルシエルが生み出した魔法世界を継承した。
あなたにしかベアトリーチェの世界を切り裂けない。
魔法を知るからこそそれに抵抗も覚えるわ。魔法は愛と悲しみと怒りでできている。ベアトリーチェがどんなに残酷な魔女であったとしても、その魔法の源泉は全く同じ。だからこそ彼女のその世界を本当はそっとしてあげたい。少なくとも彼女にとってその世界は完成しているのだから。
あなたが家族を諦められるならね。
そうだから申し訳ないけれど、私は戦わなければならない。家族を取り戻せるかもしれないわずかの確率にかけて魔女となる旅に出たのだから。
ベアトリーチェを殺さない限り、あなたには孤独な世界しか存在しない。それは100億のかけらを旅した私が保証するわ。
分かってるわ。同情してる余地なんて私にはないのよ。 心を鬼にして彼女の心を切り裂かなくてはならない。
その気持ちが揺るぎないならよかったわ。同じ魔女同士情が移って志をくじくんじゃないかと心配したわ。
It felt a bit hollow hearing that from a person whose face was almost always expressionless. Bernkastel, the mysterious witch who invited me on this journey.
私、あなたが嘘をついてたんじゃないかと。
どうして？
私は1998年の演者だから。家族を救っても、それは1986年の演者が救われるだけ。この私が救われるわけじゃない。だから、騙されていると思っていたことがあるの。
その通り、私はあなたを騙したわ。
でも、今は感謝してる。だって、あなたは私に、家族の取り戻し方を、結局は教えてくれたもん。
私は何も教えてないわ。それを知ったのだとしたら、それはあなたが魔女として自ら至った境地だわ。
But she did provide that push.
それは私のそれとは違う境地。私に理解はできないけれど、もしもそうならばおめでとう。
私はこのゲームのプレイヤーではなく駒だとあなたは私に言ったわよね。
ええ、言ったわ。
その役割を今こそ完全に理解した。駒に感情はいらない。ただ勝利のために最善を尽くせばいい。
ええ、その通りよ。ゲームは最善手を差し合うものでしょう。躊躇や戸惑いで指し手をおかしくしてたら対戦相手も混乱するわ。
Sorry, Beatrice, but don't hate me. Ushiromiya Ange still needs her family, so I have the right to fight you so that I can take them back. And you have the responsibility to be challenged by me to a fight, so don't hate me. In exchange, if you do win in this game, I'll give you my blessing as well. Come on, let's go. As the piece I am, it's finally time for my true turn. Sorry, Beatrice. I won't hand Oni-chan over to you. The world whitened. It wasn't white. It was a gold color as bright as can be. There was the beautiful Ushiromiya family rose garden. However, the flowers on the roses were all gold. The nectar was also gold-colored. The butterflies gathered there were gold as well. This is the Golden Land, the promised land that the witches of Mariage Sorcière had finally been guided to. There, all wishes are granted, and all magic and dreams are born. In that garden of gold roses were two, and only two, witches. I appeared as an uninvited guest, I don't know what the fuck I was on there, making that atmosphere tremble with unrest. What was to them a wind of misfortune shook the golden roses. The incredibly beautiful scene formed by the golden rose petals scattered by the wind was clearly something not of this world. The two who had been taking a walk on a path of golden roses noticed me and were surprised.
Ange?
Yep, it's Ange. And that's the end of this video because I'm out of time. But damn, I kind of get a gist of what's going on, kind of, not really. I'm just going to say I'm confused per usual and just leave it at that, but I guess now that Ange has gone on her journey in the future, now she can truly utilize her power here where everything is taking place with the game board and fight back, actually be useful. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and it looks like we're now on chapter 19. So, there we go. I don't know how much more we have left. Somebody told me not too much more, so be sure to tune into the next one. It's getting crazy. Take it easy, guys.